After each mowing, most gardeners do the same things. They bag the clippings and dispose of them as quickly as possible into the trash, onto a compost heap, or in the worst cases, they burn them. What ends up in those bags is nitrogen-rich, freshly cut plant material, one of the most readily available sources of nutrients a garden can generate. Welcome to Smart Garden Lab. Today we'll explore 6 ways to transform grass clippings from a disposal problem into a valuable, free resource for the garden. Before we begin, a safety note applies to every method described here. Grass clippings taken from a lawn that has been treated with herbicide, weed killer, or any chemical lawn treatment must never be used on vegetable beds or around food crops. Residues from those treatments can linger in the clippings, damage plants, and in some cases cause complete crop failure. Only clippings from untreated lawns belong in a food garden. If you are unsure about what has been applied, keep those clippings out of the vegetable area entirely and use them only on ornamental beds or in a hot compost pile that can break down the residues over time. This 7 method 1 liquid fertilizer. This is the most concentrated way to capture the value of grass clippings, and it costs nothing to make. Fill a bucket to the brim with fresh clippings. Add water, preferably rainwater rather than tap water, because rainwater contains no additives, and place the bucket in a sunny spot. Leave it for roughly 10 days, stirring every few days to keep the process moving. The liquid will darken, the foaming will slow, and the smell will become distinctly unpleasant. That odor signals that fermentation is complete. The result is a highly concentrated, nitrogen-rich liquid that should always be diluted before use. Mix 1 part clipping liquid with 10 parts water and apply around tomatoes, peppers, squash, and leafy crops during the growing season. This diluted brew delivers a fast-acting nitrogen boost that synthetic fertilizers provide at a much higher cost. The mechanism is simple. Grass clippings contain about 4% nitrogen by dry weight. Steeping them in water extracts a portion of that nitrogen into a form that plant roots can absorb almost immediately. That's here method 2, mulch. Applying fresh grass clippings directly around plants as a mulch layer offers several simultaneous benefits. The soil surface stays moist longer, reducing how often watering is needed. Weed seeds beneath the mulch receive less light and germinate at a much lower rate. As the clippings break down over days and weeks, the nutrients they contain are released gradually into the soil right around the plant roots. The practical rules for grass mulching are straightforward. Apply a layer no thicker than 2 to 3 centimeters at a time, because thicker layers of fresh clippings can mat together, block airflow, and create anaerobic conditions that produce an unpleasant smell rather than useful decomposition. Only use clippings from a lawn that has not yet set seed. Otherwise, the mulch layer will germinate instead of decompose. For potatoes specifically, dried or partially dried clippings work better than fresh material. Potatoes benefit from a loose, airy mulch that keeps the soil cool and protects developing tubers. Fresh clippings mat down too quickly, while dried material maintains the open structure potatoes prefer. As in method 3, compost activation, grass clippings alone make poor compost. When piled up by themselves, they mat into a dense, wet, oxygen-depleted mass that smells bad and breaks down slowly into something closer to silage than compost. The reason is that clippings are almost entirely green material, meaning they are very high in nitrogen and very low in the carbon-rich brown material a compost heap needs to function correctly. The fix is simple. Never add clippings to the compost in a thick layer on their own. Mix them with dry brown material at roughly 1 part clippings to 2 parts brown material. Dry leaves, torn cardboard, small woody twigs, and pruning debris all work. The brown material does 2 things. It provides the carbon the decomposition process needs, and it physically keeps the pile open so that air can move through it. Without airflow, even a well-mixed compost pile will go anaerobic. Twigs and woody material are especially useful because they create permanent air channels that persist through the weight of subsequent additions. A correctly proportioned grass and brown material compost pile, turned occasionally and kept adequately moist, produces finished compost in a few months that compares favorably to anything available from a garden center. Why Sarah's method 4? Leave them on the lawn for gardeners who mow regularly and keep the grass at a reasonable height. The simplest and most efficient use of grass clippings is to leave them in place. When clippings are short, about 1 centimeter or less, they fall through the standing blades to the soil surface, where they decompose within days and return their nitrogen directly to the lawn. This is the most direct form of nutrient cycling available in a garden. The nitrogen that was pulled out of the soil to grow the grass goes back into the soil to grow the next flush of grass. No bags, no handling, no buckets, no smell. This approach only works when mowing is frequent enough that clippings remain short. Long clippings left on the surface mat together block light and airflow and can damage the grass beneath. The practical rule is never to remove more than 1/3 of the blade length in a single mowing. At that level, the clippings are short enough to disappear into the sward naturally. Here's method 5, the mower deck. This one is often overlooked after mowing. The underside of the mower deck accumulates a compacted layer of grass and soil, a concentrated mixture of fine organic material and mineral particles that functions like a dried fertilizer paste. Before cleaning the deck, always switch the mower off completely and disconnect the power source. Once safe, scrape this material from the deck and distribute it around beds and borders. It adds a dense, slow-release nutrient source that behaves similarly to a light application of dried manure. It is a small addition in volume, but it is concentrated in both organic matter and available nutrients. Grass Method 6 Seasonal Integration. The most efficient use of grass clippings is not to cling rigidly to a single method, but to match the method to the season and the amount of material available. Early in the growing season, when plants are establishing and nitrogen demand is high, the liquid fertilizer method extracts maximum value from each bucket of clippings. Through summer, when beds are fully planted and weed pressure is active, mulching around established crops makes the most sense. Excess clippings beyond what mulching needs go into a compost pile that is actively building through summer for use the following spring. In autumn, when mowing frequency drops but leaf fall increases, mixing clippings into the compost heap as a nitrogen activator for the carbon-rich leaf material creates ideal compost conditions through winter. Short clippings from the final mowing of the year go back onto the lawn. The underlying principle across all 6 methods is the same. Grass clippings are a form of fixed nitrogen and organic matter that the lawn has already produced. Every bag of them that leaves the garden is a bag of free fertilizer going with it. The gardener who keeps those clippings cycling through the system, whether as liquid feed, mulch, compost activator, or direct lawn nutrition is running a more efficient garden with fewer external inputs and lower ongoing cost. The garden produces what it needs. The job is to make sure that production does not get thrown away.